Let's bring back in our Fox News contributor and former FBI Special Agent Nicole Parker. She joins us by phone. Nicole, jump back in here as we watch these crowds at the scene there in Minneapolis. I'd say clearly have over more than doubled just since we started the show at 1 o'clock Eastern.
Right. It appears to be increasing exponentially, and this is going to be a very critical moment for the city there and to maintain peace. Again, anyone has a right to free speech. You can, express your concerns, your anger, but the moment that it turns to violence, burning things, hurting people, unacceptable. And trust me, there will be actions taken. But again, I echo the concerns of, Paul Mauro, for instance. We don't know everything that has happened. And so it's very important, when we're initially coming on air and we're gathering information, there's always that disclaimer and that caveat, it's an ongoing investigation. This has just occurred. This is just what we know right now. But the key is to let the FBI do the full investigation, because you might be seeing one angle from this side and the mayor may have seen one video. Let's just leave it to the law enforcement at this point. Let them do their jobs. But again, for him to facilitate, using that type of language and inciting a lot of anger is not peace and love. It's quite the opposite. And again, going back to the use of deadly force, again, we're highly trained. It's always action versus reaction. And so, again, if you feel that your life is in jeopardy, yourself or another individual, that's when you start going through in your mind, is deadly force justified? And you're making split-second decisions in those moments. It literally is split-second decisions. But let's let the law enforcement officers, the FBI, they have full jurisdiction to conduct this investigation. It's an assault, as DHS is saying, an assault on a federal officer. Again, that would have fallen under Title 18 U.S. Code Section 111, which would include forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, or interfering with any person designated, as a federal agent while engaged in or on account of the performance of their official duties. That's what would constitute the violation of a law. And again, the deadly force policy is something that they will be looking into very closely. But again, peace. People have the right to express their First Amendment rights, their concerns, but the moment that it turns to violence, we cannot have a repeat of what happened in 2020. I think another concern that I had in listening to that press conference that really did not sit well with me from a law enforcement perspective is that this mayor is out there saying things, that ICE is not there for our safety, and no one wants anyone to lose their life, period, ever. But again, what about all of the individuals who were killed by illegals? And the Trump administration is now coming in and saying, we are not going to allow that type of violence in our country. What do you say to Laken Riley? What do you say to Jocelyn Nungari's family? Where was the sympathy then? And so we needed to have humanity in this situation, but let's leave it to the law enforcement officers to do their job, to conduct a full investigation. And let's just be honest and true in this and not be making political comments to score points. Let's just look at the facts and look at the evidence. And that is exactly what the FBI will do.
And Nicole, as Chad Wolf was making the point a little while ago, if the sanctuary cities were to cooperate with ICE, who have detainers against criminal individuals that they would like to pick up within the confines of a detention center, none of this would be happening out on the streets.
Correct. That is exactly correct. If you would just abide by the law in the first place, you wouldn't even have to send ICE agents. If we weren't having to, again, all of these individuals who have been hurt, killed, injured, raped by people that are not here, they are going after the most violent criminals, and that is what they're executing warrants for these types of individuals, and that is ICE's job. That's what they're there to do, and that's what Americans should want them to do. But the fact that certain communities and sanctuary cities do not want them there, well, frankly, the federal system trumps that, and so they have the right to go in and execute warrants.
Hey, Nicole,
these are warrants that are signed off by judges.
Nicole, do you have the screen in front of you? I know you're joining us by phone.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so we're obviously seeing some uniformed officers arriving on the scene there. Can you help us out with what we're seeing?
So uniformed officers, again, they're going to be coming in at this point because you've got a large crowd of individuals and you want to maintain the peace there. And there is now a scene that's going to be fully investigated. And again, the FBI is looking into that. But we've got to maintain order, and we cannot have an eruption of violence in response to what just happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that's Hennepin County Sheriff or if that's local Minneapolis police. Look like sheriff's deputies to me, but we'll see. Nicole, just to the use of deadly force again, Carrier Bond helps out by providing a 2018 DHS memo on the use of deadly force, which states, quote, A DHS law enforcement officer may use deadly force only when the Leo has a reasonable belief that the subject of such force poses an imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury to the law enforcement officer or to another person. The subtext says the reasonableness of a Leo's use of force must be judged, quote, from the perspective of a reasonable officer on the scene rather than with the 20/20 vision of hindsight. Can you tell us what that means practically?
That's exactly what I've been saying here as I'm watching the television screen. Hindsight is 20/20, right? When you're in the heat of the moment and you are literally having, let's say it's a vehicle or someone you see a weapon. We need to make this very clear. You don't have to have a firearm for deadly force to be justified or lethal force to be justified by law enforcement. That's this misnomer that's been created. Oh, they were unarmed. Frankly, it doesn't matter if someone was unarmed or armed. There are a number of different objects that could be used to kill someone or cause death or serious physical injury to an individual. So again, looking from the perspective of the agent, if they believe that their life or the life of another person was in imminent danger, they had a reasonable belief that the subject posed, as in this situation, it would be the driver of the vehicle, posed an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to themselves or to others, and then you go through the things, could this have been prevented in another way? I can tell you that under the Biden administration, for instance, they changed the deadly force policy for the first time. It hadn't been changed, I believe, in 18 years. They changed it on the heels of the George Floyd riots. We were stunned because at a time when, for instance, we had just lost 2 FBI agents in the line of duty, you would think that they would be giving more coverage and protection to law enforcement officers, when in reality, the way that they amended the DOJ deadly force policy, for instance, gave officers less coverage, created more doubt. And so, again, when you are going through the training, I can just speak from my perspective, we would go through extensive legal training. We would literally go meet with officials from the legal department. Let's say you're in FBI Miami. You are in a room and you have literally laser guns and you are literally looking at a video screen and they're going through scenarios over and over and over. And you're up there and you're watching the scenario as if you are living it. And you are literally having to react immediately as if you're in real time. And then you have to legally justify why you did or did not do what happened and why did you do that. Mm-hmm. And you literally get reprimanded, or they'll say, yes, that was justified, or no, that was not. So I just want to make it very clear that law enforcement officers, especially on the federal level, are very highly trained. And we do not want to use deadly force unless we absolutely have to. And that's how we were trained at the DOJ and at the FBI. Again, I am not an ICE agent, but I can tell you that across the board, federal agencies, you do not want to use your weapon unless you absolutely have to, and that is the last resort.
Okay, so Governor Tim Walz has now spoken. He has put out a statement on X responding to Homeland Security, labeling this an act of domestic terrorism. He fires back. I've seen the video. Don't believe the propaganda machine. The state will ensure there is a full, fair, and expeditious investigation to ensure accountability and justice, Nicole. So we are all going to have the opportunity to see that video. Again, that is circulating online. There's multiple different angles. People are going to probably, obviously, decide for themselves as they continue to watch this. But Governor Walz is labeling Homeland Security's label of this domestic terrorism a propaganda machine. Your response to that, Nicole?
Well, you know what? He's not the one conducting the investigation. He's not an FBI agent conducting the investigation. So he's welcome to have his own opinions. But again, in light of what the mayor said, and they want to have peace and love, I would recommend that they go down that route of having peace and love and just let the law enforcement and let the FBI. And again, I understand that the Minnesota, they have their own bureau that will conduct a criminal investigation, and that's justified and completely normal and necessary, and that's fine. But let the law enforcement officers do their job.
All right, Nicole Parker, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Really appreciate your time.
All right, Nicole, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.